Hi, my name is Phil. I live in Germany where I study both physics and philosophy. One of my main interests is the philosophy of science, including evolution. So when I came across a video by the Creationist, NephilimFree, who's quite well known on YouTube, I just couldn't resist responding. He raises a fair enough question, unfortunately, as often with creationists, in the arrogant belief that there's no one in the world that could possibly answer it. And the question regards mutation and the molecular machinery that helps to prevent mutations from happening. And his main point sort of is that if mutation is such an important factor, which it is, in helping evolution progress, then how come molecular machinery and, and such complicated mechanisms have evolved to prevent exactly these mutations from happening? And it is a fair enough question, so it does deserve an answer, even though it comes from NephilimFree and is posed in such an arrogant way. The thing about mutation rates is that um, they are beneficial for a population. They can help a population to adapt to a new environment if the population isn't already adapted to the environment, and only then. So if there's a population that is not well adapted to the environment yet, new mutations will occur. Some of them will be beneficial and help the population to adapt to the new environment, and these will be selected for. If, however, the population is already well adapted to its environment, then mutations cannot do much to help the population since it is already adapted. And there won't be any mutations that will be beneficial to the individual in the population holding the mutation because of course the individual is already adapted to the environment, so it can't be even more adapted. However, there can be mutations which actually have a negative effect on the individual. So they would actually be harmful to the individual, and therefore there would be selection pressure against high mutation rates, and of course, therefore, for such molecular machinery that helps prevent mutations, because such machinery decreases the mutation rate. I'm now going to show you a simple simulation based on a program I found online that helps illustrate this point. Okay, so this is a simple program that's supposed to help people understand how natural selection works. And we have at the bottom these animals that compete for flies that will come from the top, and they have to catch them. And of course, the larger ones of them will be better at catching them. At the moment, they're all the same, but those that manage to catch them will be allowed to reproduce. And the offspring won't be exactly the same, won't always be exactly the same as their parents. Or I think in this case it's asexual reproduction, so it's just one parent. This just makes it a bit simpler. So so the offspring will be a bit different. This represents mutations, so it might be larger or a bit smaller. And depending on the height, it will be better or worse at catching flies and therefore surviving and therefore reproducing. And I'll just go one cycle to show you how this works. There we go. In this case, there wasn't a mutation. One of the little animals caught the fly and reproduced. But there was no mutation. No mutation again. Not again. Might have to go for a while here. There we go, a mutation. This animal is now a bit smaller than the others, and therefore it will be worse at catching flies and surviving and reproducing. We can speed this up a bit. I'll go 5 cycles at a time. And you can see there will be mutations. Some of them will be smaller. So far there are no mutations that made the animals bigger, but there we go. We have an animal that is a bit bigger than the others now, and therefore better at surviving and reproducing. So if we continue this for a while, we'll expect the average of the population to, after a while, go up. So I'll do that. Here we go. Okay, now we're at the stage where almost all of the little animals are as big, as large as possible. So now mutations will actually decrease the average fitness in the population, because mutations will always mean that the animal gets smaller, because they can't get any larger except the 3 individuals who are not quite as large as the others yet. And if we continue this, which I will do in a second, we will see that from time to time, the average fitness, which we can sort of see up here, we can see the number of animals that are the largest, which is shown in red, and it will drop from time to time because of mutations. Okay, here we can see it will go down. It will go up again, but then it will go down again after a while. And this is because of mutations. There we go. Okay. But this program allows us to change the mutation rate. And I will put in a much higher mutation rate first. So the previous one was 0.3. Now we'll go for 0.6. And we'll see that this whole effect of when the population is very well adapted, so they're all very, very large, the effect of them going of the average height going down from time to time will be much more severe now that the mutation rate is higher. Okay, so first we have to go to a state where most of them are well adapted to the environment, and now this whole thing will be much more severe, as you can see. It will go up again, but you can see that compared to the previous trial that I did, the whole downward trend that comes from time to time will be much more severe. And I'll do the same thing again, but this time with a very low mutation rate, just 0.1. And you will see that if I do this again, the trend will be much less severe. And this shows that as soon as the population is very well adapted to the environment, that high mutation rates are not very good for the average fitness. Okay, so it takes a bit longer for fitness to rise because of the low mutation rate that we have, but now it does. We're at a high point here, and if my prediction is correct, we'll stay there for a while. Indeed. There we go. And that shows how high mutation rates are not very beneficial if the population is well adapted, but it may well be beneficial if the population is not well adapted. But as soon as a population is well adapted, there will be selection for these sort of molecular machinery that help prevent mutations. You can find the links to NephilimFree's video as well as the program that I used below in the description. See you next time.